All right, today we're going to talk about a big one, the 4-hour work week. I mean, just the title alone. It promises this radical escape from the daily grind, right? But is it for real? Is it a genuine blueprint for a new life? Or is it just a fantasy that kind of falls apart in the real world? Let's get into it.
So, this question you see on the screen, it kicked off this huge discussion over on Reddit. And I love it because it just cuts right to the heart of it all. It makes you forget the theory for a minute and just ask, okay, who is actually living this life?
So, first, let's just be real about the dream itself, because it is powerful. The whole idea is just so appealing. A life of complete freedom, paid for by a business that pretty much runs itself. I mean, that's the seductive promise of passive income. And that's the mantra, right from the book's cover. And it's honestly brilliant. Because it's not just about working less, it's about totally redefining what it means to be wealthy. The idea is that true wealth isn't just about money in the bank. It's having the time and the freedom to do what you want, whenever you want. And you can see why that's such a powerful vision. So, how are you actually supposed to get there? Well, the book lays out this kind of 3-part playbook. First, you just radically eliminate anything that's not essential. Second, you automate whatever you can with technology. And third, you delegate or outsource literally everything else. The whole goal? To build this cash-generating machine that doesn't need you there, day in and day out. Okay, so that's the promise. It sounds amazing, right? But then you start looking for the people who've actually tried to do it, and a totally different picture starts to emerge. Honestly, the internet is just flooded with criticism from people who call it out. And look, this criticism isn't gentle. This quote from that same Reddit thread pulls absolutely no punches. A really common argument you see is that the advice isn't just unrealistic, but that the author's real business isn't the one he's describing. His real business is selling the dream itself. Now, here's what's really interesting. Critics frame this whole thing as part of a bigger pattern. They point out that this get results quick formula, well, it's everywhere. Fitness, cooking, and now business. As one user just bluntly put it, it's like cosplay for aspiring entrepreneurs. It's more about feeling like a CEO than actually building a real sustainable business. And this quote, wow, this one just perfectly shows the gap between the theory and the day-to-day grind. Here you have someone who says they're following the model perfectly, they're outsourcing everything they can. But even with a team, they're still working at least 10 hours a week and aren't even profitable yet. And their conclusion? No one is ever going to care about your business as much as you do. So those personal stories are really powerful. But let's shift gears from anecdotes to some hard data. Because, the promise of passive income isn't just in this one book. It's the core of a lot of business models, especially multi-level marketing companies, or MLMs. And it turns out the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, decided to take a really close look at their income claims. And just for a little context here, the FTC is the U.S. government's consumer protection watchdog. So their team did this deep dive into the income statements these companies publish, and what they found is, well, it's pretty revealing. All right, get ready for this. This is the first bombshell from their report. A massive 75% of the income statements they looked at were incomplete. So what does that even mean? It means they were deliberately leaving certain groups of people out of the math, which completely twists the picture of who's actually making money. So why does that matter so much? Well, think about it. If you only count the people who actually got a paycheck, your average earnings are going to look way higher than they really are. What about the huge number of people who tried, failed, and earned absolutely $0? Poof, they're just erased from the stats. And it's not just about what they leave out. It's also how they present the data they do include. Just take a look at this example from the FTC's report. Your eye is immediately drawn to those huge numbers at the top, right? For ranks like senior director or diamond. But here's the catch. Those ranks represent a tiny fraction of everyone involved, often less than 1%. And all of this leads to the final, really stark conclusion from the FTC's work. After they dug into the numbers for dozens of these companies, they found that for the vast, overwhelming majority of people, the income was basically nothing. We're talking less than $1,000 a year, and that's before you subtract the cost of buying the products, marketing, and fees. It's just about as far as you can get from that dream of living anywhere and joining the new rich. Okay, so if that get-rich-quick passive income dream is basically a myth, where does that leave us? Does that mean the desire for a better life, for more freedom, is wrong? No, of course not. Absolutely not. But maybe
Maybe we've just been using the wrong framework, one that's built on scarcity and just taking things.
So let's explore a different idea: sufficiency. Now, this is not about deprivation or living like a hermit. That's a huge misconception. It's really just about asking a different question: what is actually enough for a good life? Instead of chasing infinite growth at all costs, this mindset is all about prioritizing well-being, community, and more free time. Not just for a tiny few, but for everybody.
And this really all comes down to a huge mindset shift, which this slide lays out perfectly. You've got the old scarcity model, which sees the world as a zero-sum game, like there's a shrinking pie and the goal is just to grab the biggest slice. But an abundance, or a regenerative mindset, sees the economy as a living system. And here, the goal isn't just to take, it's to create more value by giving back and regenerating the very systems we all depend on.
So what does this new definition of success actually look like in the real world? It's about building businesses that are designed right from the start to be restorative and sustainable. It's just part of their DNA. And there's actually a pretty clear roadmap for how to do this. You start by being really honest and auditing your real-world impact. Then you redesign your products and processes to eliminate waste. You reinvest your profits back into that core mission, you report on your progress with total transparency, and you collaborate with others to solve the big problems. See? This isn't about escaping work, it's about transforming it. And please, don't think this is just some nice, fluffy theory. Just look at a company like Patagonia. They made this incredibly radical decision to change their entire ownership structure, just so they could lock in their mission forever. Now, their profits don't just go to shareholders, they go directly to fighting the climate crisis. It's one of the most powerful, real-world examples of this regenerative model in action today.
And that, right there, brings us to the most crucial point. Maybe the ultimate goal shouldn't be to just check out from our work entirely. Maybe the real dream, the one that's actually worth chasing, is to find work that's so meaningful and restorative that we want to be actively engaged in it. It's a huge shift, from seeking passive income to pursuing an active purpose.
So, I'll just leave you with this final question to think about. The old model taught us that prosperity comes from taking as much as you possibly can. But what if real, sustainable prosperity, for us, for our companies, and for our planet, only grows when we give back more than we take?